We're here with Jack McCartney on Celestial V70, just docked. That was quite a ride, Jack. That first night too would have been hard yards behind the wheel. Tell us a bit about that.
It was a hard yakka race. Wild, I'd say. Actually, yesterday was super wild, but
yesterday was come across straight.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
I guess feelings tarnished a little by what's occurred, and we found out yesterday, and we're pretty shocked by all of that. So feelings go out to families and those people and those crews. That would be really tough. So it was a tough race, but that's tougher. Much tougher.
Absolutely. It's a fairly somber mood here, understandably.
Yeah.
Just sort of dealing with the race, that first part, so were you driving sort of on that first day and first night?
Yep. So myself and Luke Parkinson did most of the driving, and then Rob, who's the sailing master this year round, he was doing all the manoeuvres.
Okay.
He'd just step in and do that. And
he would take you through the jibes and things like that?
Yeah.
What's the trick there, really, for the driver? Is it all about timing?
Yeah.
Just getting it on the right bit of the wave when you're going into the jibe?
Exactly. So
right.
just looking for the right opportunity to get surfing on a wave, get the bow down in a wave, let the sheet go at the right time, get the runner on, those sorts of things. But that's why
the intuition of a skiff sailor, sort of getting it right, I guess, just at that right sweet spot. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, offshore sailors in general.
Of course,
But it's you've got to rely on your crew, and that's why you rely on your default positions, particularly when it's really windy, and you've got to really focus and make sure you don't bugger it up.
So you've done a fair bit of driving. What's this boat feel like?
The 70 is amazing. This thing, it's a beast.
It's rugged, isn't it? I mean, they are really built for this stuff, aren't they?
Look, we got some footage during training, and that was just the tip of the iceberg. Like yesterday was crazy how wet it was. Reaching at anywhere from 60 to 90 true in 45 knots.
And then what would you have
doing 25 knots. Wow. It was wild. We had 3 reefs and a J4, and then the J4 blew up, and then we put the storm jib on.
Right.
So we actually, coming back to the first afternoon, as soon as we got out the heads, we blew up the A3, which was a very important sail for the first afternoon. But that was okay. So we went to an A2, which was only good for up to 20 knots sort of thing. So we held on to that as long as we could, and then went to the A5. So we struggled when we had the A5 on, when it was 20 to 28 knots.
Yeah.
And that's where URM and a few others sort of went better than us in that moment.
Right.
But then once the night fell, we really hit our gear, and when it got over 28 knots, we saw up to 45, I think, on the first night. We had it all locked in, and surf. It was great. It was wild. It was really good.
A lot of water over the deck, I
imagine.
Heaps. Gets right the way back to the driver, I take it.
It sure does.
Yeah.
It's I don't know how they went around the world on this thing. It's crazy.
Tell us a bit about the Tassie coast then, from the straight down. How was that?
The straight was...
Straight was full, obviously, with the westerning.
It was. We went straight through, did a nice job through the transition. It was pretty moderate when we first started, 20 knots, and quickly built to 35, 40. And once we picked our angle that we wanted to get back to closer to the rum line, and so we sort of had our direction and went for it, and the swell got up, just got windier and windier and wetter, basically, and it just was relentless. So we had the whole way across was hoping the sails wouldn't blow up, and just hoping the boat would hold together, and it did. It was really good.
Do these sails have a fair whack of crossover? I mean, how can you sort of go through a reasonable range on them, or are they fairly clear slot?
Fairly clear slot. There's a lot less sails than what you'd typically have on, say, a TP52.
Yeah. Right.
So you sort of lock it in. As I said, we lost an important sail, the A3, early on. That would have been really helpful for us for the first, 10 hours of the race.
Yeah.
But from there, we only took a J2, that's our all-purpose jib, a J4, and a storm jib.
Yeah.
So, we didn't have a backup for the J4, which blew up. So that hurt us coming home today. We were just with the storm jib for the last few hours.
Right.
So.
And you got presumably a bit parked up on that little sort of weird bubble up the coast there.
Yeah, not for long.
Not for long.
Two
Got through
little
it.
transitions.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
kept moving. We
Yeah.
didn't actually stop.
Yeah.
So
But I think you caught up quite a bit on
Yeah.
on Law Connect at that point because they already sat around for a bit longer than you and did 3 or 4 tacks at least. I think,
Did they?
Wind, yeah.
Yeah, we did a few tacks, but
Yeah.
it was we managed to keep moving.
Yeah.
So it was, and then got into the westerly and it slowly freed up, and then we reached in this morning to Tasman Light, and here we are.
Well done.
So yeah,
Well, congratulations thus far. We'll wait and see whether it turns into the real thing. But,
we had a great time.
Yeah.
Awesome team.
Yeah,
you know,
fantastic, and a great boat. You know,
great
really
boat,
great boat,
and we're thankful that Jim let us have it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let us have Ted and DB.
Yeah.
So they were sort of the outsiders of the Celestial team.
Okay.
But they're fantastic sailors and great blokes.
And this boat's a bit more comfortable than TP, I take it.
In some ways, you know, like it's comfier downstairs. It's drier, much
right,
drier.
drier downstairs,
Even though it's still a bit wet.
Yeah.
It's got a much better galley, and it's even got a head. Like it's
Whoa,
amazing.
luxury.
Not that it got used.
No time for that.
But the bunks are much bigger. You can
right.
walk around a lot easier. The nav table's a lot more purpose-built. It feels more robust, definitely, offshore. But when you're on deck and you're doing 30 knots and you're going ploughing through waves, it feels more exposed
I suppose it does.
than the TP.
In what way exposed? I mean, just
wet.
Yeah, just actually more water over the
more
actual
water.
thing.
Yeah,
right,
just you know, it's quite a high top-sided boat.
Yeah.
But actually, when you're sailing it, it feels like you're underwater the whole time. So
Great. Well, we'll leave you to
awesome fun.
have a beer and not a pie and so on, and
Thanks.
we'll wait and see how it pans out in the result. But
Yeah,
well done anyway.
fingers
It's good to
crossed.
see you here.
Yeah,
Great
thanks.
to see you.
Yeah, cheers.
Okay. You just look at it.
Yeah.
We'll take that off you.